It's the 19th of the 6th, 2022, and it's 6 in the morning. And as I've been documenting, there's a very serious matter with the safety precautions and security measures and the protection policies that haven't been implemented in my circumstances. As is common knowledge, there are state bodies and practitioners that have just been so rude in the lines that they've been stepping over. My anonymity has been breached. There has been confidentiality breaches. There have been privacy violations, and there has been hate crime, treason, human rights violations, and constitutional wrongdoings. There's been public exposure of my privacy, and there have been damages to my bodily integrity, and medical negligence has been conducted also. So, in a democracy, the Taoiseach of this country has been fully cognizant of the fact that a royal child I gave birth to, was almost fed to the wolves, really, of the ordeals, the culprits of ordeals that were caused to his mother between 2003 and 2005, that were violations against my good name and my profession as an educator. Now, these liabilities are in this community. They have caused demonstrable damage. They have been of bad party politics. They have been of punishment. Vigilante punishment has been implemented against these liabilities for their offences, and they have been of repeat offences. Now, as I've said, I'm a peaceful pacifist, I'm a humanitarian, I'm tolerating the gutter base behaviours of uneducated and common thieves, basically common upstarts. Their mentality is it's quite extraordinary. It's quite brazen. It's quite undignified. It's quite ignorant. They have caused not only problems with my child in my home and my family, but they have had the audacity to comfort themselves with notions of living off the developments from my property. Now, to be very straight, I'm a married mother. I own my farms. I own the legal guardianship of my child. He's a missing person, and the individuals of violence against women in this community for the past 20 years, and particularly between 2003 and 2005, that has had repercussions on this community that I have addressed personally, are matters that these people are taking into their hands in their own special way, by deviating and navigating a very unsafe course, with the casualties they've been incurring in people's lives already for the past 3 or 4 years. So they've disrespected the state bodies, and they've shared my wealth basically throughout this community, and they seem to think that they're paying that they think that they're paying the wage. Do you know what I mean? From wealth that they don't own. So that they've more little misdemeanors set in motion, and they're guilty as sin, and they're making life so difficult for married mothers. It's terrible. The people that are making themselves going on to my farm holdings, I'm very concerned for. Being a mother of experiences that regard adultery and so on and so forth in my marital home, and my husband apparently a missing person. He could be buried for all I know at this stage. He could be living in Timbuktu for all I know. And the guards have failed to fulfill their obligations. Now, I find this extraordinary considering what the state has benefited from me in the form of progress and financial developments and privatization that has occurred. But in this building on 18 Rock Street, let me be very straight and clear, the standards have been abominable, filthy. individuals defecating and dirtying the floors, people coming in and out of my apartment when I'm not here. I have to lock my food away. My work initiated recovery, health and wealth, and upgrading standards in public life and in the entertainment industry, basically. And not only have I mentioned yesterday that there are people living off royalties, but the issue of health and wealth recovery and the dirt that the Taoiseach is aware of being brought into my living space, and my food having to be locked into a wardrobe, and I experiencing medical negligence. And these people are apparently upwardly mobile, living off my wealth and living off my identity and my work. It's outstanding, the mentality of these kind of individuals. So anyway, they've had the audacity for the creative and intellectual theft as well. They've been quite cheeky. At 18 Rock Street, they've been very cheeky. And as I've mentioned, the standards have been appalling. So there's a very dangerous matter going on when these kind of liabilities of sexual violence against women and of child harm to a royal little boy that I gave birth to. His name's Garrod. He's very precious. He's a missing person, as I keep reiterating, because it seems to be not registering with the Taoiseach the dangers he's, it's not easy for, or not sensible or wise for an elected representative to think he's going to just turn a blind eye to a woman of my caliber that has helped so many people's lives and that has contributed to society. Health and wealth recovery has originated from my work. Now, there can be spin-offs and stories from people that are upgrading themselves with my wealth and hoping to live off my land, but harming my baby via TUSLA Child and Family Agency and unlawful care orders, and not even adhering to party politics that they represent, just goes to show the ignorance I'm confronted with. So as I've mentioned throughout this documentary, I take photos every 45 minutes. It's a prerequisite. As I've mentioned, the guards and the government have refused to even acknowledge that there's been no medical care, there's been no consensuality with the legislation they've brought into law that is from my work. Not only did they not protect my child, they exposed my child indirectly, inadvertently to harm. My child is quite precious. And the issue of the Taoiseach and his government thinking that it's safe for a woman to be as a sitting duck while repeat offenders come around my proximity. I wonder how the Taoiseach feels about his children being safe in this country. You know what I mean? Has the Taoiseach got children? I'm really concerned for them, because if he's setting this kind of a standard with this kind of a woman who's been contributing positively to the world, I'm really concerned for his mentality about what he has to do and what he hasn't been doing. It's not a shirk your responsibility and ignore what you have to do and make dirty, arrangements or foul arrangements or plan misdemeanors against an innocent mother sitting in an apartment that has to document her day 45 minutes per 45 minutes, while these rotten individuals decide to intrude upon me and disturb the peace and false report and make false accusations. As a pacifist, I find that quite dangerous for other young women and children. So these people are not fit or suitable for society by any means of the imagination. They have identity issues, they have behavioural issues, they have criminal track records, and the guards and the government aren't protecting a royal from these kind of liabilities. So that's really unsafe. That my child wasn't even protected. That my child is a missing person. That's really unsafe. So I'm really concerned for how much longer I have to tolerate this kind of a situation. Ombudsman, you have been contacted since 2017. It's 2022. So that's 5 years of a waiting period. And I'm just wondering about IQ levels. I'm wondering about professionalism and the standards that these kind of pros are working with. Because as a professional myself that receives €208 from the state, that's an underpayment. And there have been companies prospering from me and their offences that they've conducted. These individuals have been clearing their dirty debts via financial exploitation from a royal avatar, living in isolation in a shoddy one-bedroom apartment with one-bedroom apartment with no hot water, no heating, and doctors living off my wealth via NPHET. So there's a whole host of very dangerous matters. Now, they might concern themselves or consider themselves as professionals, but unfortunately, no. When you're not able to work by standards, ethics, behaviours, morals, etc., you're not a professional, you're a fraud. You're in contempt and you're an offender against the state and your profession that you're supposed to be representing. So anyone that's in defence of these kind of frauds are not safe in society. They're a risk unto themselves. That's how it's described. If you decide to break the law, then, the law catches up with you, as it has done since 2006 up to 2018, when people were living off other people's pocket and causing offence to the state with the racketeering that was going on at home and abroad. The UK, take for instance, the UK is fully aware of the repercussions of what has occurred. They know, the UK is fully aware that when I endeavoured in 2018 to do what I did single-handedly, that changed and brought a lot to light. A lot to light was brought to the fore. And those individuals that are silly enough, if there's a representative out there silly enough to think they're going to negotiate my status, bearing in mind my child, my property, my royal bloodline, all of these matters, if there's a representative sitting up in Dáil Éireann thinking he's going to negotiate me, then I have concerns for that kind of a person. I hope they're aware of the risk they're bringing onto themselves, because I'm a spiritual avatar and I've been practicing and working for over 20 years. And there have been liabilities in this community that have been of financial deprivation caused to my fortune since 2006, since sexual violence was conducted in this community, which has been repeated recently again as well. There has been repeat incidents of sexual violence as a consequence of efforts to conceal what I endured between 2003 and 2005. So that has reared its head in a new consequence. And now there's more liabilities down the road. I'm of crime prevention. So I hope the guards and the government are aware of their obligations, because I'm getting very tired of a one-bedroom apartment and people on my farms and my child from my care and living off 208, rough estimate from the state. It's not good enough. So I hope the Taoiseach is aware that if he has children, I'm very concerned for their futures. The deprivation and denigration and defamation and dirty individuals with foul mouths and false accusations that aren't in a position to be sitting at the table, that aren't of party politics that they represent, and that are of bad track records. I really hope they are aware as well for their own families how dangerous a situation this is, especially when they've caused so much harm to my home. Treason is very dangerous. So they've been very premature with all their wrongdoings. They've been huge problems in a very short space of time. And my bloodline is very, very old. So I hope NATO and the United Nations is on the right side of the law, because this situation is quite disgusting. And anybody with any superior caliber or integrity or any of those good outstanding qualities, anyone with any shred of self-respect would know better and have more sense than to be supporting any kind of culprits of fraud, repeat fraud, and more sexual violence and stuff that's been going on. Women's bodies are not commodities, and children's lives are precious. And this woman is concerned, to say the least, for those that think that they're going to be arriving at 18 Rock Street with their problems without the solutions or the debts they owe. So, Dáil Éireann, this is for your interests. There's a problem in County Kerry for the past 5 or 6 years. Would you kindly start doing what you're supposed to be doing to respect the Constitution and democracy and my royal bloodline?